Stomach bug, check. Irritable bowels, check. Impending sense of doom, check. Laundry going off in the background, check. Super hot weather, check. All right, everybody, we're ready. It's Dead Sea Scrolls time. Let's jump straight into the Temple Scroll, which interestingly enough did not emerge from something like secrecy until after the 6-Day War. Maybe because if it had been out there in the open by this time, people would have seen some motivations for some historical events, am I right? Well, let's see if that is true and see if maybe the Temple Scroll had something to do with events in the 20th century. Let's jump right in. Behold, I will make a covenant. For it is something dreadful that I will do to you. I myself will expel from before you the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. Take care not to make a covenant with the inhabitants of the country which you are to enter, so that they may not prove a snare for you. You must destroy their altars, smash their pillars, and cut down their sacred trees, and burn their idols with fire. You must not desire silver and gold, so that you may not be ensnared by them, for that would be abominable to me. You must not bring any abominable idol into your house, and come under the ban together with it. You shall detest and abominate it, for it is under the ban. You shall not worship another god, for Tetragrammaton here, whose name is jealous, is a jealous god. Take care not to make a covenant with the inhabitants of the country, so that when they whore after their gods and sacrifice to them and invite you, you may not eat of their sacrifices and take their daughters for your sons, and their daughters may not whore after their gods and cause your sons to whore after them. This is what you shall offer on the altar. 2 yearling lambs without blemish every day as a perpetual holocaust. You shall offer the first in the morning, and you shall offer the other lamb in the evening. The corresponding grain offering will be 1/10 of fine flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of beaten oil. It shall be a perpetual holocaust of soothing odor, an offering by fire to Tetragrammaton, and the corresponding drink offering shall be 1/4 of a hin of wine. The priest who offers the holocaust, which just means burnt offering, guys. By the way, holocaust means whole burnt offering. Don't know why the translators decided to use that term, given the current implications of it here in the 21st century, but I digress. The priest who offers the holocaust shall receive the skin of the burnt offering which he has offered. You shall offer the other lamb in the evening with the same grain offering as in the morning, and with the corresponding drink offering as an offering by fire, a soothing odor to Tetragrammaton. Now, why am I saying Tetragrammaton? Well, in the English, it's YHWH, or in Hebrew, Yod He Vav He. Hebrew has no vowels in the written language, meaning we don't really know the vowels that correspond with the consonants given to us regarding the name of God. Why is that important? Because it means we don't really know the name of God, and we don't know whether or not Yod He Vav He, or the Tetragrammaton, 4 letters, if that actually is maybe a placeholder for the real name of God. We don't have it. We just don't. So if somebody tells you that it's Jehovah or it's Yahweh, they better hope they're right, because otherwise you may have just taken God's name in vain over and over and over again throughout your life, which would be really dumb and unfortunate. So I refrain from using that. The name given to us is God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in Matthew 28 in the Great Commission, and we have the name for the Son of God, the Holy Logos, Jesus. The apostles gave us the name Jesus. So I'm going to go with Jesus. I'm going to go with God the Father, God the Son, who is Jesus Christ, and God the Holy Spirit. That's the names given to us. We refer to him as Lord. Call it good. But I'm not going to go out saying, the real name for God in the Old Testament is Yahweh, which it's close to the Hebrew for I am. Well, yeah, maybe it's close to that, but that could also still be a placeholder name, and you really don't know. And even if those were the legit 4 letters, you ain't got the vowels. So let's not run the risk of taking God's name in vain. Let's have a little bit of piety here. Which apparently the Dead Sea Scrolls people didn't have. But I digress. Let's keep reading here. On the Sabbath days you shall offer 2 yearling rams without blemish, and 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering and the corresponding drink offering. This is the holocaust of every Sabbath, in addition to the perpetual holocaust and the corresponding drink offering. On the first day of each month you shall offer a holocaust to Tetragrammaton, 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 yearling rams without blemish, and a grain offering of fine flour, 3/10 of an ephah mixed with a half a hin of oil, and a drink offering. Have a hin for each young bull, and a grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, 2/10 of an ephah, and 1/3 of a hin, and wine for a drink offering, 1/3 of a hin for each ram. 1/10 of fine flour for a grain offering mixed with 1/4 of a hin, and wine, 1/4 of a hin for each lamb, a soothing odor to Tetragrammaton on the first day of each month. This is the burnt offering for each month for the months of the year. ... On the first day of the first month, the month of the year shall start. It shall be the first month of the year for you. You shall do no work. First month of the year, do no work. I don't remember that in the Old Testament, but maybe that is part of the Mosaic Law. Thus far as we're reading here, it seems that we're getting into something of a shorthand categorization here in the temple scroll. It's shorthand for stuff that has to happen in the temple at various times and what needs to be sacrificed and how it needs to be offered. And as well as a little bit of the Canaanites being expelled. One would hope that the Qumran community is not imprinting identities onto people groups that are not the Canaanites, not the Perizzites, Hivites, Hittites, etc. One would hope that they're not saying, well, actually the Greeks are the Hivites of today. Now we get to kill them. But let's keep reading. This is the burnt offering of each month for the months of the year. On the first day of the first month, the month of the year shall start. It shall be the first month of the year, for you shall do no work. You shall offer a he-goat for a sin offering. It shall be offered by itself to expiate for you. You shall offer a holocaust, a bullock, a ram, 7 yearling ram lambs without blemish, additional to the burnt offering for the new moon, and a grain offering of 3/10 of fine flour mixed with oil. Half a hin for each bullock, and wine for a drink offering, half a hin, a soothing odor to Tetragrammaton, and 2/10 of fine flour mixed with oil, 1/3 of a hin. You shall offer wine for a drink offering, 1/3 of a hin for the ram, an offering by fire of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton, and 1/10 of fine flour, a grain offering mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil. You shall offer wine for a drink offering, 1/4 of a hin for each lamb, and for the he-goat. ... Each day. ... 7 yearling lambs and a he-goat. ... According to this statute. For the ordination of the priests, 1 ram for each day, and baskets of bread for all the rams of the ordination, 1 basket for each ram. They shall divide all the rams in the baskets for the 7 days of the ordination for each day, according to their divisions. They shall offer to Tetragrammaton the right thigh of the ram as a holocaust, and the fat covering the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, and on the loins, and the whole fat tail close to the backbone, and the appendage of the liver, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering according to the statute. They shall take 1 unleavened cake from the basket, and 1 cake of bread with oil, and 1 wafer, and they shall put it all on the fat, together with the offering of the right thigh. Those who sacrifice shall wave the rams and the basket of bread as a wave offering before Tetragrammaton. This is a holocaust, an offering by fire, of soothing odor before Tetragrammaton. They shall burn everything on the altar over the holocaust to complete their ordination during the 7 days of ordination. So, now this is the temple scroll. This is them giving rules for something they don't have. During the time that the Qumran community was active, there was a temple in Jerusalem, but remember, they believed that it was run by the children of Belial, run by evil people that kersnippered the authority from the Levites proper and from the true sons of Zadok, and didn't have the legitimate right to do so, to do all the stuff they were doing in the temple. So they said, well, smell you later. Now, maybe they had a point, given that the Romans had a habit of appointing or selling the position of high priest to whoever was most loyal to the Romans. And the priestly class in Judah, even those who were properly descended from Aaron at the time, were Sadducees. Meaning, Sadducees being the theological liberals of their day who rejected the resurrection, who said that only the law was actual scripture, and they were willing to say that angels didn't exist, and all sorts of other stuff like that. It's really hard to get why priests would be like that until you kind of realize this is what a priest in ancient Israel and ancient Judea was just doing every day. It's a bloody religion. The Old Testament tried to make the point that you can't have infinite sacrifices for all your sins. You need one sacrifice that pays for everything, pointing to our Lord Jesus. But if you didn't get that, then your job was just to constantly be covered in blood and ash and soot and incense and spilled wine. Gosh, can you imagine being a priest coming home after a long day of killing stuff and burning it as an offering before the Lord? Just you do that all day, and just imagine how you smell. So yeah, they ended up being Sadducees. Them and the rich people who saw some advantage in that. But the Sadducees were popular as a party of the Jews for priests because they lived and breathed the Mosaic law. The Temple Scroll presumes that at some point they're going to resume a pure temple. They're going to have purified temple worship, and therefore we need to have some sort of shorthand for all the rules, maybe as a counteracting of the Sadducetic system here. Because if all the priests have is the Mosaic law, and that's all they dwell on, and they have no opportunities to jump on Isaiah or to read Hosea or to be in the Psalms every day, maybe having a shorthand document that's just here's how you do your job. You can read the Mosaic law and Leviticus especially on your own time, yes, but here's your quick how-to guide. That's my theory anyway. But continuing on, if the high priest is to minister to Tetragrammaton, whoever has been ordained to put on the vestments in place of his father shall offer a bull for all the people and another for the priests. He shall offer the one for the priests first. The elders of the priests shall lay their hands on its head, and after them the high priest and all the priests. They shall slaughter the bull before Tetragrammaton. The elders of the priests shall take from the blood of the bull and place it with their finger on the horns of the altar, and they shall pour the blood around the four corners of the altar ledge. ... And they shall take from its blood and place it on his right earlobe and on the thumb of his right hand and the big toe of his right foot. They shall sprinkle on him and his vestments some of the blood which was on the altar. ... He shall be holy all his days. He shall not go near any dead body. He shall not render himself unclean, even for his father or mother, for he is holy to Tetragrammaton, his God. ... He shall offer on the altar and burn the fat of the first bull. ... All the fat on the entrails and the appendage of the liver and the 2 kidneys and the fat on them and the fat on the loins and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering according to their statute. He shall burn them on the altar. It shall be a burnt offering, an offering by fire of soothing odor before Yahweh. However I'm supposed to say it. I'm going with Tetragrammaton. The flesh of the bull, its skin and offal, they shall burn outside the sanctuary on a wood fire in a place reserved for sin offerings. They shall burn it with its head and legs together with all its entrails. They shall burn all of it there except the fat. It is a sin offering. He shall take the second bull, which is for the people, and by it he shall expiate for all the people of the assembly by its blood and fat. As he did with the first bull, so he shall do with the bull of the assembly. He shall place with his finger some of its blood on the horns of the altar, and the remainder of its blood he shall sprinkle on the four corners of the altar ledge, and its fat and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering he shall burn on the altar. It is a sin offering for the assembly. ... They shall rejoice, because expiation has been made for them. This day shall be a holy gathering for them, an eternal rule for all their generations wherever they dwell. They shall rejoice and ... Let them prepare on the 14th day of the first month Between dusk and dark, the Passover of Tetragrammaton. They shall sacrifice it before the evening offering and shall sacrifice ... By the way, for those who maybe are jumping in, having not listened to the first few recordings on these Dead Sea Scrolls evaluations, when I say ... it just means that the fragment, the textual fragment there is broken up. We don't know what the text was between the words. Continuing on. Men from 20 years of age and over shall prepare it. They shall eat it at night in the holy courts. They shall rise early, and each shall go to his tent. ... On the 15th day of this month there shall be a holy gathering. You shall do no work of labor on it. It shall be a 7-day feast of unleavened bread for Tetragrammaton. You shall offer on each of these 7 days a holocaust to Tetragrammaton, 2 young bulls, a ram, and 7 ram lambs without blemish, and a he-goat for a sin offering, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, according to the statute for the young bulls, rams, lambs, and the he-goat. On the 7th day there shall be an assembly for Tetragrammaton. You shall do no work on it. ... He-goat for a sin offering. ... The corresponding grain offering and drink offering, according to the statute, 1/10 of fine flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil and 1/4 of a hin of wine for a drink offering. ... He shall expiate for all the guilt of the people of the assembly. ... This shall be an eternal rule for you, for your generations, wherever you dwell. Then they shall offer the 1 ram once on the day of the waving of the sheaf. You shall count 7 complete Sabbaths from the day of your bringing the sheaf of the wave offering. You shall count until the morrow of the 7th Sabbath. You shall count 50 days. You shall bring a new grain offering to Tetragrammaton from your homes, a loaf of fine flour, freshly baked with leaven. They are first fruits to Tetragrammaton. Wheat bread, 12 cakes, 2/10 of fine flour in each cake. ... The tribes of Israel, they shall offer ... their grain offering and drink offering according to the statute. The priest shall wave ... wave offering with the bread of the first fruits. They shall belong to the priest, and they shall eat them in the inner courtyard as a new grain offering, the bread of the first fruits. Then ... new bread from freshly ripened ears. On this day there shall be a holy gathering, an eternal rule for their generations. They shall do no work. It is the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits, an eternal memorial. Again, this is like lightning round Leviticus, lightning round Numbers and Deuteronomy and the latter half of Exodus after chapter 14, where they're just trying to put everything together. Now let's see how many more pages I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is going to keep going. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 more pages. That sounds like a lot, especially given the way all this sounds, and maybe it seems just a little bit too much for a shorthand for the law, but you got to consider that, well, getting the law from the 5 books of Moses is a whole lot longer, requires a whole lot more study and a knowledge of the history behind all of it. Now, if you're wondering, dude, can't we just skip this? The answer is no, my friend. We made a commitment to read all of the Dead Sea Scrolls and comment on them with theological evaluation, and we are not going to miss a single page here. We are going to read the entirety of the Dead Sea Scrolls in English. Thank you very much. I do appreciate wanting to skip boring things. But remember, after this, we're going to get to more interesting stuff here. The halakha here and harvesting Master's exhortation to the sons of dawn and other stuff like that. If we read the temple literature and we read all the boring stuff like the community rule that we slogged through and the war scroll that we very much slogged through, then we're going to understand the basis for the more speculative theological things that they were saying. And then we get to how they were reading the Bible and copying it down so we can understand what exactly made these people tick. And if that's been repeated in history. If other groups have copy-pasted out the same mindset and ideas as the Qumran community. Spoiler alert, yes. So, continuing on reading, but again, this is boring, so we're going to speed read the whole stinking thing. You shall count 7 complete Sabbaths from the day of your bringing the sheaf, the wave offering. You shall count until the morrow of the 7th Sabbath. Wait, I read this part already. Sorry. You shall count 7 weeks from the day when you bring the new grain offering to Tetragrammaton, the bread of first fruits. 7 full Sabbaths shall elapse until you have counted 50 days to the morrow of the 7th Sabbath. You shall bring new wine for a drink offering, 4 hins from all the tribes of Israel, 1/3 of a hin for each tribe. They shall offer on this day with the wine 12 rams to Tetragrammaton, all the chiefs of the clans of Israel, ... rams and the corresponding grain offering according to the statute. 2 tenths of fine flour mixed with oil, 1/3 of a hin of oil for a ram, with this drink offering ... 7 yearling ram lambs and a he goat ... assembly ... Their grain offering and drink offering shall be according to the statute concerning young bulls and the ram ... to Tetragrammaton. At the quarter of the day they shall offer ... the rams in the drink offering. They shall offer ... 14 yearling ram lambs ... the burnt offering. They shall prepare them ... and they shall burn their fat on the altar, the fat covering the entrails, and the fat that is on them, and the appendage of the liver with the kidneys. He shall remove and the fat on them, and that which is on the loins, and the fat tail close to the backbone. They shall burn on the altar together with the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, and offering by fire of soothing odor before Tetragrammaton. They shall offer every grain offering joined to a drink offering according to the statute. They shall take a handful from every grain offering offered either with frankincense or dry, this being its memorial portion, and burn it on the altar. They shall eat the remainder in the inner courtyard. The priests shall eat it unleavened. It shall not be eaten with leaven. Of course not, that symbolizes sin. It shall be eaten on that day before sunset. They shall salt all their offerings. You shall never allow the covenant of salt to fail. They shall offer to Tetragrammaton an offering from the rams and the lambs, the right thigh, the breast, the cheeks, the stomach, and the foreleg, as far as the shoulder bone, and they shall wave them as a wave offering. The priest's portion shall be the thigh of the offering, and the breast, ... the forelegs, the cheeks, and the stomachs, ... as an eternal rule from the children of Israel, and the shoulder remaining of the foreleg shall be for the Levites, ... an eternal rule for them and for their seed, the princes of the thousands, from the rams and from the lambs. 1 ram and 1 lamb shall belong to the priests, the Levites, 1 ram, 1 lamb, and to every tribe 1 ram, 1 lamb for all the tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel. They shall eat them on that day in the outer courtyard before Tetragrammaton, ... The priest shall drink there first, and the Levites second, ... The princes of the standards first, ... Men of renown. After them the whole people, from the great to the small, shall begin to drink the new wine. They shall not eat any unripe grapes from the vine, for on this day they shall expiate for the tirosh. The children of Israel shall rejoice before Tetragrammaton, an eternal rule for their generations. Wherever they dwell, they shall rejoice on this day, for they have begun to pour out an intoxicating drink offering, the new wine, on the altar of Tetragrammaton, year by year. You shall count from that day 7 weeks, 7 times 7 days, 49 days. There shall be 7 full Sabbaths until the morrow of the 7th Sabbath. You shall count 50 days. You shall then offer new oil from the homes of the tribes of the children of Israel, half a hin from a tribe, new beaten oil, ... oil on the altar of the Holocaust. First fruits before Tetragrammaton, ... shall expiate with it for all the congregation before Tetragrammaton, ... with this oil half a hin, ... according to the statute, a holocaust, an offering by fire of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton, ... With this oil they shall light the lamps, ... The princes of the thousands with ... 14 yearly male lambs in the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, ... for the lambs and the rams. The Levites shall slaughter, ... Actually, I wish that was just a sentence. The Levites shall slaughter. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, shall sprinkle their blood on the altar all around, ... and they shall burn their fat on the altar of the Holocaust, ... and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering they shall burn over the fats, an offering by fire of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton. They shall take away from the right thigh and the breast, the cheeks and the stomach shall be the priest's portion according to the statute concerning them. They shall give to the Levites the shoulder. Afterwards they shall bring them the offerings out to the children of Israel, and the children of Israel shall give the priests 1 ram, 1 lamb, and to the Levites 1 ram, 1 lamb, and to each tribe 1 ram, 1 lamb. They shall eat them on that day in the outer courtyard before Tetragrammaton, an eternal rule for their generations, year by year. Afterwards they shall eat from the olives and anoint themselves with the new oil, for on this day they shall expiate for all the oil of the land before Tetragrammaton once yearly. They shall rejoice, ... The high priest shall offer the holocaust of the Levites first, and afterwards he shall send up in smoke the holocaust of the tribe of Judah. And when he is sending it up in smoke, they shall slaughter before him the he-goat first, and he shall lift up its blood in a bowl to the altar, and with his finger he shall put some of the blood on the four horns of the altar of the holocaust, and to the four corners of the altar ledge, and shall toss the blood toward the base of the altar ledge all around. This is translated by Geza Vermes. Really like saying holocaust, even though he's translated a couple of times using the word as burnt offering or whole burnt offering. Really wants to say holocaust a lot, doesn't he? But I digress. He shall burn its fat on the altar, the fat covering the entrails, and that over the entrails. The appendage of the liver with the kidneys he shall remove, as well as the fat over them and on the loins. He shall send up in smoke all of them on the altar, together with the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, and offering by fire of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton, and ... the flesh of soothing odor. It shall be an offering by fire to Tetragrammaton. Thus they must do to every young bull, and to every ram, and to every lamb, and its limbs shall remain apart. The corresponding grain offering and drink offering shall be on it, an eternal rule for your generations before Tetragrammaton. After this holocaust, he shall offer the holocaust of the tribe of Judah separately. And as he has done with the holocaust of the Levites, so shall he do with the holocaust of the children of Judah after the Levites. On the second day he shall first offer the holocaust of Benjamin, and after it he shall offer the holocaust of the children of Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh together. On the third day he shall offer the holocaust of Reuben separately, and the holocaust of Simeon separately. On the fourth day he shall offer the holocaust of Issachar separately, and the holocaust of Zebulun separately. On the fifth day he shall offer the holocaust of Gad, sorry, Mr. Torba, Gad, separately, and the holocaust of Asher separately. On the sixth day he shall offer the holocaust of Dan separately, and the holocaust of Naphtali separately. Now, interestingly, they're doing this like daily burnt offering thing for each of the tribes, but they're including Dan, which is, even in the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD, would kind of have been a no-no, because in the book of Judges, it is discussed why Dan is more or less the first tribe to just disappear. Before the northern exile of Assyria, the northern tribes of Israel go to Assyria, and Assyria spreads them out all over the world. Dan disappeared way before that. They intermarried with Philistines and with the Canaanites and everything, and went after paganism first. They were the very first tribe to just start doing that stuff. So it's interesting that they mentioned Dan. So even though the temple scroll here is generally just trying to repeat and add a little bit of other tradition into the Mosaic law for the priests and the Levites, there is an eschatological bent here. They do think that Dan is going to return as a tribe for Israel. Interesting. But we continue on with a ... In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall have a sacred rest, a remembrance announced by a trumpet blast, a holy gathering. You shall offer a holocaust, an offering by fire of soothing odor before Tetragrammaton. You shall offer 1 young bull, 1 ram, 7 yearling lambs without blemish, and 1 he-goat for a sin offering, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering according to the statute concerning them of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton, in addition to the perpetual holocaust and the holocaust of the new moon. Afterwards you shall offer this holocaust at the 3rd part of the day, an eternal rule for your generations wherever you dwell. You shall rejoice on this day. On it you shall do no work. A sacred rest shall this day be for you. The 10th of this month is the Day of Atonement. You shall mortify yourselves, for any person who does not mortify himself on this selfsame day shall be cut off from his people. You shall offer on it a holocaust to Tetragrammaton. 1 young bull, 1 ram, 7 ram lambs, 1 he-goat for a sin offering, in addition to the sin offering of the atonement and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering according to the statute concerning the young bull, the ram, the lambs, and the he-goat. For the sin offering of the atonement you shall offer 2 rams for the holocaust. The high priest shall offer 1 for himself in his father's house, ... The high priest shall cast lots on the 2 goats, 1 lot for Tetragrammaton and 1 for Azazel. Now, don't get too hung up on the word Azazel. There we will probably see the Dead Sea Scrolls people trying to comment on their theory on what or who Azazel is. So we're just going to keep reading there, and we're We're going to put that one off for later. Anyway, he shall slaughter the goat on which Tetragrammaton's lot has fallen, and shall lift up its blood on a golden bowl which is in his hand, and do with its blood as he has done with the blood of his young bull, and shall expiate with it for all the people of the assembly. He shall send up in smoke its fat and the corresponding grain and drink offering on the altar of the holocaust. Its flesh, skin, and dung they shall burn out beside his young bull. It is a sin offering for the whole assembly. He shall expiate with it for all the people of the assembly, and it shall be forgiven to them. He shall wash his hands and feet of the blood of the sin offering, and shall come to the living goat, and shall confess over its head the iniquities of the children of Israel, together with all their guilt, all their sins. He shall put them on the head of the goat, and dispatch it to Azazel in the desert by the hand of the man who is waiting ready. And the goat shall bear all the iniquities of the children of Israel, ... and he shall expiate for all the children of Israel, and it shall be forgiven to them. Afterwards he shall offer the young bull, the ram, and the lambs, according to the statute relating to them, on the altar of the holocaust. And the holocaust will be accepted for the children of Israel, an eternal rule for their generations. Once a year this day shall be for them a memorial. They shall do no work on it, for it shall be to them a Sabbath of sacred rest. Whoever shall do work on it shall not mortify himself on it, shall be cut off from the midst of his people. A Sabbath of sacred rest. A holy gathering shall this day be for you. You shall sanctify it as a memorial wherever you dwell, and you shall do no work. On the 15th day of this month, ... the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, all on the altar, an offering by fire of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton. On the second day, 12 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs, and 1 he-goat for a sin offering, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, according to the statute concerning the young bulls, the rams, the lambs, and the he-goat. It is an offering by fire of soothing odor to Tetragrammaton. On the third day, 11 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs, and 1 he-goat for a sin offering, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, according to the statute concerning the young bulls, the rams, the lambs, and the he-goat. On the fourth day, 10 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 yearling ram. Let me go ahead and just restart this. Whole sentence. On the fourth day, 10 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 yearling ram lambs, and 1 he-goat for a sin offering, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering for the young bulls, the rams, the lambs, and the he-goat on the 5th day, and the corresponding grain offering and drink offering, ... in the house on which I shall cause my name to rest, ... holocausts, each on its day, according to the law of this statute, always from the children of Israel, in addition to their freewill offerings, in regard to all that they offer, their drink offerings, and all their gifts, that they shall bring to me in order to be acceptable. I shall accept them, and they shall be my people, and I shall be for them forever. I will dwell with them forever and ever, and will sanctify my sanctuary by my glory. I will cause my glory to rest on it until the day of creation, on which I shall create my sanctuary, establishing it for myself for all time, according to the covenant which I have made with Jacob in Bethel. ... You shall make ... 4 stairs, a staircase ... in the house which you shall build. Ooh, now we're going to get to their architectural designs, now that we've gone all the way through, hopefully, for now, all of their ideas here on how sacrifices need to be done. Can't wait to see what they have in store for architecture. ... You shall make ... 4 stairs, a staircase ... in the house of which you shall build ... You shall make a staircase north of the temple. Okay, I'm done whispering, sorry. A temple. Shall make a staircase north of the temple, a square house, 20 cubits from one corner to the other, alongside its 4 corners. Its distance from the wall of the temple shall be 7 cubits on the northwest. You shall make the width of its wall 4 cubits, like ... like the temple, and its inside from corner to corner 12 cubits. There shall be a square column in its middle, in the center, its width 4 cubits, on each side around which the stairs wind ... In the upper chamber of this house you shall make a gate opening to the roof of the temple, and a way shall be made through this gate towards the entrance of the temple, by which one can reach the upper chamber of the temple. Overlay with gold all this stair house, its walls, its gates, and its roof, from inside and from outside, its columns and its stairs. You shall do everything as I tell you. You shall make a square house for the laver in the southeast, on all its sides, each 21 cubits, 50 cubits distant from the altar. The width of the wall shall be 4 cubits, and the height 20 cubits. ... Make gates for it on the east, on the north, and on the west. The width of the gates shall be 4 cubits, and the height 7. ... You shall make in the wall of this house on the inside recesses, and in them ... 1 cubit in width, and their height 4 cubits above the ground. They shall be overlaid with gold, on which they shall place their clothes, which they have worn on arrival. Above the house of the ... when they come to minister in the sanctuary, you shall make a trench around the laver besides its house, and the trench shall go from the house of the laver to a cavity. It shall descend rapidly to the ground, where the water shall flow and disappear. It shall not be touched by any man, for it is mingled with the blood of the holocaust. They shall sanctify my people in the sacred vestments which ... You shall make a house east of the house of the laver, according to the measurement of the house of the basin. Its wall shall be at a distance of 7 cubits from the wall of the house of the laver. Its whole building and rafters shall be like those of the house of the laver. It shall have 2 gates on the north and the south, one opposite the other, according to the measurement of the gates of the house of the laver. Inside all the walls of this house shall have apertures, their width and depth 2 cubits each, and their height 4, with which the entrails and the feet are raised to the altar. When they have completed the sending up in smoke, ... they close the wheels and ... and tie the horns of the young bulls to the rings and ... by the rings. Afterwards they shall slaughter them and collect the blood in bowls and toss it around the altar base. They shall open the wheels and strip the skin of the young bulls from their flesh and cut them up into pieces. Salt the pieces, wash the entrails and the legs, salt them and send them up in smoke on the fire which is on the altar, each young bull with its pieces beside it, and the corresponding grain offering of fine flour on it, the wine of the drink offering beside it, and some of it on it. The priests, the sons of Aaron, shall send everything up in smoke on the altar, an offering by fire of soothing odor before Tetragrammaton. You shall make chains hanging from the rafters of the 12 columns, ... Whoever is not a priest shall die, and whoever, ... A priest who shall come, ... And he is not clothed in the holy vestments he was ordained, in which he was ordained, they too shall be put to death, and shall not profane the sanctuary of their God, thus incurring the iniquity of mortal guilt. You shall sanctify the environs of the altar, the temple, the laver, and the colonnade, and they shall be most holy forever and ever. You shall make a place west of the temple, a colonnade of pillars standing around for the sin offerings and the guilt offerings, divided from one another, the sin offerings of the priests, the he-goats, and the sin offerings of the people, and their guilt offerings. None of these shall be mingled one with another, for their places shall be divided from one another, in order that the priests may not err concerning all the sin offerings of the people, and all the rams of the guilt offerings, thus incurring the sin of guilt. The birds for the altar, he shall prepare turtle doves, ... from the corner of ... to the corner of the gate, 120 cubits. The gate shall be 40 cubits wide, each side shall be according to this measurement. The width of its wall shall be 7 cubits, and its height 45 cubits, to the rafters of its roof. The width of its chambers shall be 26 cubits from corner to corner. The gates of the entrance and exit, the gate shall be 14 cubits wide and 28 cubits high from the threshold to the lintel. The height of the rafters above the lintel shall be 14 cubits. The gate shall be roofed with a paneling of cedar wood overlaid with pure gold. Its doors shall be overlaid with fine gold. From the corner of the gate to the second angle of the courtyard there shall be 120 cubits. Thus shall the measurement of all these gates of the inner courtyard, thus shall be the measurement of all these gates of the inner courtyard. The gates shall lead inside to the courtyard. You shall make inside the courtyard seats for the priests and tables in front of the seats in the inner colonnade by the outer wall of the courtyard, places made for the priests and their sacrifices, for the first fruits and the tithes, for their peace offering sacrifices which they shall sacrifice. The sacrifices of the peace offerings of the children of Israel shall not be mingled with the sacrifices of the priests. In the 4 corners of the courtyard you shall make for them a place for cooking stoves, where they shall seethe their sacrifices and sin offerings, ... There they shall eat, ... The bird, the turtle dove, and the young pigeons, ... So we covered when we were reading the War Scroll that the Qumran community had big plans, and their big plans included, killing everybody that wasn't them. They wanted a hyper war. I called it school shooter theology. The idea that, when we win, we're just going to kill everybody that's a Gentile, and we're going to kill everybody that's a traitor to our people. We're going to kill so much. You know what? When we're going to win, it's going to be a day of wrath. And it's like the Columbine shooters decided to make their own theology. It's disgusting at the end of the day. But at the same time, they didn't end there in their big plans. Here, they're planning to make a super giant, excellent, most awesome temple forever. And it differs from the way that Solomon built the temple. In fact, their plans are bigger. They are even bigger than Solomon's plans. They're trying to outdo the temple that Herod built. They're trying to make it bigger, better, uncensored. And of course, it's with the idea that this is going to be an eternal temple. So they're framing it as though God himself is the one telling them to do this. Remember, at the very beginning here, when we read here in the first part of the temple scroll, it says, I will make a covenant. It is something dreadful that I will do to you. I myself will expel from before you the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, the Girgashites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. They're speaking presumably with the voice of God. It's interesting to think that the Qumran community, maybe one of their own, wrote this thinking this was Bible. Like, we've gone beyond the shorthand vision of the Mosaic Law here, and we're going into these people thinking this is God telling them to build a temple. And more interestingly, they're not designing it after Ezekiel's temple. In part because Ezekiel's temple, it's just not physically possible given the arrangements of the land per the tribes and everything like that, the way the water is supposed to be rerouted. It would take, I would say, if people were to do this on their own, it would take trillions and trillions of dollars to maybe get started on Ezekiel's temple, because you have to remix the entire land of Israel to the point of being unrecognizable, dividing everything in special lines of territory for each of the tribes of Israel, and then you have to build a temple that's really, 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 really big. And then you're talking sacrifices that would be an abomination before God because they would be denying the atonement won for us by Christ. And they're not going off of Ezekiel's temple because, after all, this is their project. This is their dream for their temple. And, well, okay, maybe we couldn't afford doing things the way Ezekiel wrote down, and maybe we don't want to interpret that one so much physically. So here's the super awesome, excellent temple plans we have. Again, something that if it existed today would be an abomination before God, because the book of Hebrews makes it plain, makes it very clear, there are no more sin offerings. There are no more, holocausts for the removal of guilt for God's people. Jesus took care of all of that forever and paid for all of our sins, period, end of story. If you resume guilt offerings, God is going to hate that. He's not going to accept those sacrifices. Any third temple movement that dispensationalists or hyper-Orthodox Jews are trying to have happen, I suspect that would incur extreme wrath from God. But we continue reading on. Let's read more about after we've killed everybody in our school theology, here's the awesome, super, totally cool paradise temple we're going to build. You shall make a second courtyard around the inner courtyard, 100 cubits wide, and 480 cubits long on the east side, and thus shall be the width and length of all its sides, to the south, to the west, and to the north. Its wall shall be 4 cubits wide and 28 cubits high. Chambers shall be made in the wall outside, and between each chamber there shall be 3.5 cubits, ... that all the congregation of the children of Israel may bow down before me. What did I say about speaking with the voice of God, presumably? ... No woman shall come there, nor a child, until the day that he has fulfilled the rule. Hearkening back to the community rule, ... and has paid for himself a ransom to Tetragrammaton, half a shekel, an eternal rule, a memorial wherever they dwell. The shekel consists of 20 gerahs. When they shall collect from him the half shekel, ... to me. Afterwards, they shall enter from the age of 20, ... The names of the gates of this courtyard shall be according to the names of the children of Israel. Simeon, Levi, and Judah in the east, Reuben, Joseph, and Benjamin in the south, Issachar, Zebulun, and Gad in the west, Dan, Naphtali, and Asher in the north. Between each gate the measurement shall be From the northeastern corner to the gate of Simeon, 99 cubits, and the gate 28 cubits. From this gate of Simeon to the gate of Levi, 99 cubits, and the gate 28 cubits. From the gate of Levi to the gate of Judah, ... you shall make a third courtyard, ... to their daughters and to the strangers who were born, ... wide around the middle courtyard, ... in length about 1,600 cubits from one corner to the next. Each side shall be according to this measurement, on the east, the south, the west, and the north. The wall shall be 7 cubits wide and 49 cubits high. Chambers shall be made between its gates along the foundation as far up as its crowns or crenellations. It's a yadin. There shall be 3 gates in the east, 3 in the south, 3 in the west, and 3 in the north. The gates shall be 50 cubits wide, and their height 70 cubits. Between one gate and another there shall be 360 cubits. From the corner to the gate of Simeon, 360 cubits. From the gate of Simeon to the gate of Levi, likewise. From the gate of Levi to the gate of Judah, likewise 360 cubits. From the gate of Issachar to the gate of Zebulun, 360 cubits. From the gate of Zebulun to the gate of Gad, 360 cubits. From the gate of Gad to the northern corner, 360 cubits. From this corner to the gate of Dan, 360 cubits. Thus from the gate of Dan to the gate of Naphtali, 360 cubits. From the gate of Naphtali to the gate of Asher, 360 cubits. Why did they have to write all of this? They could have solved all of this with like a single sentence, but they're thorough. Remember, this is perfect. This is perfect for them. They're reaching perfection, so you got to be really specific. The gates shall jut outward from the wall of the courtyard 7 cubits, and extend inwards from the wall to the courtyard 36 cubits. The entrance of the gate shall be 14 cubits wide and 28 cubits high up to the lintel. The rafters at the doorways shall be of cedar wood and overlaid with gold. The doors shall be overlaid with pure gold. Between each gate inwards you shall make storehouses, rooms, and colonnades. The room shall be 10 cubits wide, 20 cubits long, and 14 cubits high, with cedar wood. The wall shall be 2 cubits wide. On the outside there shall be storehouses. The storehouses shall be 10 cubits wide and 20 cubits long. The wall shall be 2 cubits wide and 14 cubits high up to the lintel. Its entrance shall be 3 cubits wide. You shall make in this way all the storehouses and the corresponding rooms. The colonnade shall be 10 cubits wide. Between each gate you shall make 18 storehouses and the corresponding 18 rooms. You shall make a staircase next to the walls of the gates towards the colonnade. Winding stairs shall go up to the second and third colonnades and to the roof. You shall build storehouses and corresponding rooms and colonnades as on the ground floor. The second and the third levels shall follow the measurement of the lower one. On the roof of the third you shall make pillars roofed with rafters from one pillar to the next, providing a place for tabernacles. The pillars shall be 8 cubits high, and the tabernacle shall be made on their roof each year at the Feast of the Tabernacles, for the elders of the congregation, for the princes, the heads of the fathers' houses of the children of Israel, the captains of the thousands, the captains of the hundreds, who will ascend and dwell there until the sacrificing of the Holocaust on the festival, which is the Feast of Tabernacles, each year. Between each gate there shall be, ... on the days of the first fruits of the corn, of the wine, to Rosh, and the oil, and at the festival of the offering of wood. On these days the tithe shall be eaten. They shall not put aside anything from it, from one year to another, for they shall eat it in this manner. From the feast of the first fruits of the corn of wheat they shall eat the corn until the next year, until the feast of the first fruits, and they shall drink the wine from the day of the festival of wine until the next year, until the day of the festival of wine. And they shall eat the oil from its festival until the next year, until the festival, the day of offering of new oil on the altar. Whatever is left to last beyond their festival shall be sanctified by being burnt with fire. It shall no longer be eaten, for it is holy. Those who live within a distance of 3 days' walk from the sanctuary shall bring whatever they can bring. If they cannot carry it, they shall sell it for money and buy it with corn, wine, oil, cattle, and sheep, and shall eat them on the days of the festivals. On working days they shall not eat from this in their weariness, for it is holy. On the holy days it shall be eaten, but it shall not be eaten on working days. ... So if anybody's listening this far, you know, it'd be cool. If you could make this in Minecraft and shoot me like a picture or something, or a video, throw it up there on the internet, email it to very_Lutheran@tutanota.com, that would be so cool. I would love to use that as the thumbnail for the Dead Sea Scroll stuff from now on, just like their Minecraft temple. Because instead of Minecraft, what are they doing? They're like inventing it in their heads and writing it down with every little detail. But we continue. You shall allot the rooms in the corresponding chambers. From the gate of Simeon to the gate of Judah shall be for the priests, ... All that is to the right and to the left of the gate of Levi. You shall allot to Aaron your brother 108 rooms in corresponding chambers and 2 tabernacles which are on the roof. You shall allot to the sons of Judah the area from the gate of Judah to the corner, 54 rooms in corresponding chambers and the tabernacle that is over them. You shall allot to the sons of Simeon the area from the gate of Simeon to the second corner, their rooms, the corresponding chambers and tabernacles. You shall allot to the sons of Reuben the area from the corner which is beside the sons of Judah to the gate of Reuben, 52 rooms and the corresponding chambers and tabernacles. The area from the gate of Reuben to the gate of Joseph you shall allot to the sons of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh. The area from the gate of Joseph to the gate of Benjamin you shall allot to the sons of Kohath from the Levites. The area from the gate of Benjamin to the western corner you shall allot to the sons of Benjamin. The area from this corner to the gate of Issachar you shall allot to the sons of Issachar. The area from the gate of Issachar, ... The second incoming priestly course shall enter on the left, ... And the first outgoing shall leave on the right. They shall not mingle with one another, nor their vessels. Each priestly course shall come into its place, and they shall stay there. One shall arrive, and the other leave on the 8th day. They shall clean the rooms, one after the other, when the first priestly course leaves. There shall be no mingling there. After I've killed all my enemies, I'm going to have a great birthday party. And the people that I spared, all my friends are invited to my birthday party. Yes. No man who has had a nocturnal emission shall enter the sanctuary at all until 3 days have elapsed. He shall wash his garments and bathe on the first day, and on the 3rd day he shall wash his garments and bathe, and after sunset he shall enter the sanctuary. They shall not enter my sanctuary in their impure uncleanness and render it unclean. No man who has had sexual intercourse with his wife shall enter anywhere into the city of the sanctuary where I cause my name to abide for 3 days. No blind man shall enter it in all his days, and shall not profane the city where I abide, for I, Tetragrammaton, abide amongst the children of Israel forever and ever. The Qumran community has declared, in keeping with our friend Nicholas Fuentes, no yuckiness. We will search you with a black light, and if you are unclean, you're not invited to the party for 3 days. Whoever is to purify himself of his flux shall count 7 days for his purification. He shall wash his garments on the 7th day and bathe his whole body in running water. Afterwards he shall enter the city of the sanctuary. No one unclean through contact with a corpse shall enter there until he has purified himself. No leper nor any man smitten in his body shall enter there until he has purified himself and has offered ... No unclean bird shall fly over my sanctuary, ... The roofs of the gates, ... The outer courtyard, ... Be in my sanctuary forever and ever, all the time that I abide among them. Can I just say, St. John says in the last chapter of Revelation that if you add to or take away from God's words, all the curses of Revelation fall upon you. And here the temple scroll does, we verified it now, claim that God is making all of these instructions. That's the temple scroll saying that. It's putting words in God's mouth, and now we have no Qumran community. They are extinct, long extinct and dead. I suspect great wrath fell upon them. Praise the Lord. You shall make a terrace round about outside the outer courtyard, 14 cubits wide, like the entrance of all the gates. You shall make 12 steps leading to it, by which the children of Israel shall ascend there to enter my sanctuary. You shall make a 100 cubits wide ditch around the sanctuary, which shall divide the holy sanctuary from the city, so that no one can rush into my sanctuary and defile it. They shall sanctify my sanctuary and hold it in awe, because I abide among them. You shall make for them latrines outside the city, where they shall go out, northwest of the city. These shall be roofed houses with holes in them, into which the filth shall go down. It shall be far enough not to be visible from the city at 3,000 cubits. So you got to use the potty. Well, you got to walk. Go walk half a mile to use the potty, because the temple's too big and we're not including bathrooms. You shall make 3 areas to the east of the city, divided from one another, where the lepers, those suffering from a flux, and men who have had a nocturnal emission, ... Their cities shall be pure, ... forever. The city which I shall sanctify, causing my name and my sanctuary to abide in it, shall be holy and pure of all impurity with which they can become impure. Whatever is in it shall be pure. Whatever enters it shall be pure. Wine, oil, all food, and all moistened food shall be clean. No skin of clean animals slaughtered in their cities shall be brought here to the city of the sanctuary. But in their cities they may use them for any work they need. But they shall not bring them to the city of my sanctuary, for the purity of the skin corresponds to that of the flesh. You shall not profane the city where I cause my name and my sanctuary to abide. For it is in the skins of animals slaughtered in the sanctuary that they shall bring their wine and oil and all their food to the city of my sanctuary. They shall not pollute my sanctuary with the skins of animals slaughtered in their country, which are tainted or unfit for the temple. You cannot render any city among your cities as pure in my city, for the purity of the skin of the animal corresponds to the purity of its flesh. If you slaughter it in my sanctuary, it shall be pure for my sanctuary. But if you slaughter it in your cities, it shall be pure only for your cities. Whatever is pure for the sanctuary shall be brought in skins fit for the sanctuary. And you shall not profane my sanctuary in my city, where I abide with tainted skins. ... The cormorant, the stork, every kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. ... You may eat the following flying insects. Ooh, now we're getting into dietary rules. Let's see if, now that they're one-upping the amount of control freakism that's shown in the past in other ancient Jewish and Israelite communities, let's see if they continue on with that regarding dietary rules. You may eat the following flying insects of every kind of great locust, every kind of long-headed locust, every kind of green locust, and every kind of desert locust. These are among the flying insects which you may eat, those which walk on 4 legs and have legs joined above their feet to leap with them on the ground and wings to fly with. You shall not eat the carcass of any bird or beast, but may sell it to a foreigner. You shall not eat any abominable thing, for you are a holy people to Tetragrammaton, your God. You are the sons of Tetragrammaton, your God. You shall not gash yourselves or shave your forelocks in mourning for the dead, nor shall you tattoo yourselves, for you are a holy people to Tetragrammaton, your God. You shall not profane your land. You shall not do as the nations do. They bury their dead everywhere. They bury them even in their houses. Rather, you shall set apart areas in the midst of your land where you shall bury your dead. Between 4 cities you shall designate an area for burial. In every city you shall set aside areas for those stricken with leprosy, with plague, and with scab, who shall not enter your cities and profane them, and also for those who suffer from a flux, and for menstruating women and women after childbirth, so that they may not cause defilement in their midst by their impure uncleanness. The leper suffering from chronic leprosy or scab, who has been pronounced unclean by the priest, ... with cedarwood, hyssop, and ... your cities with the plague of leprosy, and they shall be unclean. On the no such luck on the dietary thing. Maybe they'll bring it in, but let's continue reading. If a man dies in your cities, the house in which the dead man has died shall be unclean for 7 days. Whatever is in the house and whoever enters the house shall be unclean for 7 days. Any food on which water has been poured shall be unclean. Anything moistened shall be unclean. Earthenware vessels shall be unclean, and whatever they contain shall be unclean for every clean man. The open vessel shall be unclean for every Israelite, with whatever is moistened in them. Of course. On the day when the body is removed from there, they shall cleanse the house of all pollution of oil, wine, and water moisture. They shall rub in it the house's floor, walls, and door, and shall wash with water the bolts, doorposts, thresholds, and lintels. On the day when the body is removed from there, they shall purify the house and all its utensils, handmills, and mortars, all utensils of wood, iron, and bronze, and all utensils capable of purification. Clothes, sacks, and skins shall be washed. As for the people, whoever has been in the house or has entered the house shall bathe in water and shall wash his clothes on the 1st day. On the 3rd day they shall sprinkle purifying water on them and shall bathe. They shall wash their garments and all the utensils in the house. On the 7th day they shall sprinkle them a 2nd time. They shall bathe, wash their clothes and utensils, and shall be clean by the evening of the impurity contracted from the dead, so as to be fit to touch their pure things. As for a man who has not been rendered unclean on account of ... they have been unclean, no longer ... until they have sprinkled them the 2nd time on the 7th day, and shall be clean by the evening at sunset. Whoever touches the bone of a dead person in the fields, or one slain by the sword, or a dead body, or the blood of a dead person, or a tomb, he shall purify himself according to the rule of this statute. But if he does not purify himself according to the statute of this law, he is unclean, his uncleanness being still in him. Whoever touches him must wash his clothes, bathes, and he shall be clean by the evening. If a woman is with child, and it dies in her womb, as long as it is dead in her, she shall be unclean like a tomb. Any house that she enters shall be unclean with all its utensils for 7 days. Whoever touches it shall be unclean till the evening. If anyone enters the house with her, he shall be unclean for 7 days. He shall wash his clothes and bathe in water on the 1st day. On the 3rd day he shall sprinkle and wash his clothes and bathe. On the 7th day he shall sprinkle a 2nd time and wash his clothes and bathe. At sunset he shall be clean. As for all the utensils, clothes, skins, and all the materials made of goat's hair, you shall deal with them according to the statute of this law. All earthenware vessels shall be broken, for they are unclean, and can no more be purified, ever. All creatures that teem on the ground you shall proclaim unclean. The weasel, the mouse, every kind of lizard, the wall gecko, the sand gecko, the great lizard, and the chameleon. Whoever touches them, dead, ... and whatever comes out of the... shall be unclean to you. You shall not render yourselves unclean by them. Whoever touches them shall be unclean until the evening. He shall wash his clothes and bathe in water, and at sunset he shall be clean. Whoever carries any of their bones, their carcass, skin, flesh, or claw, shall wash his clothes and bathe in water. After sunset he shall be clean. You shall forewarn the children of Israel about all the impurities. They shall not render themselves unclean by those of which I tell you on this mountain, and they shall not be unclean. For I, Tetragrammaton, abide among the children of Israel. You shall sanctify them, and they shall be holy. They shall not render themselves abominable by anything that I have separated for them as unclean, and they shall be holy. Now we move on to some civics here. You shall establish judges and officers in all your towns, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. They shall not be partial in their judgment. They shall not accept bribes, nor shall they twist judgments. For the bribe twists judgment, overturns the works of justice, blinds the eyes of the wise, produces great guilt, and profanes the house by the iniquity of sin. Justice and justice alone shall you pursue, that you may live and come to inherit the land that I give you to inherit for all days. The man who accepts bribes and twists just judgment shall be put to death. You shall not be afraid to execute. And of course, given that during this time people would bribe Roman authorities for a crumb of authority over other people, especially in the priesthood and everything, that's a sticking point for the Qumran community. So, of course they're going to emphasize that. Continuing on. You shall not do in your land as the nations do. Everywhere they sacrifice sacred trees, erect sacred pillars, and set up carved stones to bow down before them and build for them, ... You shall not plant any tree as a sacred tree beside my altar to be made by you. You shall not erect a sacred pillar that is hateful to me. You shall not make anywhere in your land a carved stone to bow down before it. You shall not sacrifice to me any cattle or sheep or the grave blemish, for they are abominable to me. Yeah, you got to do certain things to make this fun as we read it here. You shall not sacrifice to me any cattle or sheep or goat that is pregnant, for this would be an abomination to me. You shall not slaughter a cow or a ewe and its young on the same day, neither shall you kill a mother with her young. Of all the firstlings born to your cattle or sheep, you shall sanctify for me the male animals. You shall not use the firstling of your cattle for work, nor shall you shear the firstling of your small cattle. You shall eat it before me every year in the place that I shall choose. Should it be blemished, being lame or blind or afflicted with any grave blemish, you shall not sacrifice it to me. It is within your towns that you shall eat it. The unclean and the clean among you together may eat it like a gazelle or a deer. It is the blood alone that you shall not eat. You shall spill it on the ground like water and cover it with dust. You shall not muzzle an ox while it is threshing. You shall not plow with an ox and an ass harnessed together. You shall not slaughter clean cattle or sheep or goat in any of your towns within a distance of 3 days' journey from my sanctuary. It is rather in my sanctuary that you shall slaughter it, making of it a holocaust or peace offering. You shall eat and rejoice before me in the place on which I choose to set my name. Every clean animal with a blemish, you shall eat it within your towns, away from my sanctuary at a distance of 30 stadia. Wow. That's a long distance. Several miles at least. You shall not slaughter it close to my sanctuary, for its flesh is tainted. You shall not eat it in my city, which I sanctify. You shall not eat in my city, which I sanctify by placing my name in it, the flesh of cattle, sheep, or goat, which has not entered my sanctuary. They shall sacrifice it there, toss its blood to the base of the altar of holocaust, and shall burn its fat. When I extend your frontiers, as I have told you, and if the place where I have chosen to set my name is too distant, and you say, I will eat meat because you long for it, whatever you desire you may eat, and you may slaughter any of your small cattle or cattle which I give you according to my blessing. You may eat it within your towns, the clean and the unclean together, like gazelle or deer meat, but you shall firmly abstain from eating the blood. You shall spill it on the ground like water and cover it with dust. For the blood is the life, and you shall not eat the life with the flesh, so that it may be well with you and with your sons after you forever. You shall do that which is correct and good before me, for I am Tetragrammaton your God. But all your devoted gifts and votive donations you shall bring when you come to the place where I cause my name to abide, and you shall sacrifice them there before me, as you have devoted and vowed them with your mouth. When you make a vow, you shall not tarry in fulfilling it, for surely I will require it of you, and you shall become guilty of a sin. You shall keep the word uttered by your lips, for your mouth has vowed freely to perform your vow. When a man makes a vow to me or swears an oath to take upon himself a binding obligation, he must not break his word. Whatever has been uttered by his mouth, he shall do it. When a woman makes a vow to me, or takes upon herself a binding obligation by means of an oath in her father's house in her youth, if her father hears of her vow or the binding obligation which she has taken upon herself and remains silent, all her vows shall stand, and her binding obligation which she has taken upon herself shall stand. If, however, her father definitely forbids her on the day that he hears of it, none of her vows or binding obligations which she has taken upon herself shall stand, and I will absolve her because her father has forbidden her, when he has heard of them. But if he annuls them after the day that he has heard of them, he shall bear her guilt. Her father has annulled them. Any vow or binding oath made by a woman to mortify herself, her husband may confirm it or annul it on the day that he hears of it, and I will absolve her. Interesting. Let's compare what they're saying here about vows and women making vows to what the book of Numbers says. Hear the word of our Lord from Numbers chapter 30. If a woman vows a vow to the Lord and binds herself by a pledge while within her father's house in her youth, and her father hears of her vow and of her pledge by which she has bound herself and says nothing to her, then all her vows shall stand, and every pledge by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father opposes her on the day that he hears of it, no vow of hers, no pledge by which she has bound herself shall stand, and the Lord will forgive her because her father opposes her. If she marries a husband while under her vows, or any thoughtless utterance of her lips by which she has bound herself, and her husband hears of it and says nothing to her on the day that he hears, then her vow shall stand, and her pledges by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if on the day that her husband comes to hear of it, he opposes her, then he makes void her vow that was on her, and the thoughtless utterance of her lips by which she bound herself, and the Lord will forgive her. But any vow of a widow or of a divorced woman, anything by which she has bound herself, shall stand against her. And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound herself by a pledge with an oath, and her husband heard of it, and said nothing to her, and did not oppose her, then all her vows shall stand, and every pledge by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband makes them null and void on the day that he hears them, and whatever proceeds out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning her pledge or herself, shall not stand. Her husband has made them void, and the Lord will forgive her. Any vow and any binding oath to afflict herself, her husband may establish, or her husband may make void. But if her husband says nothing to her from day to day, then he establishes all her vows or all her pledges that are upon her. He has established them because he said nothing to her on the day that he heard of them. But if he makes them null and void after he has heard of them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes that the Lord commanded Moses about a man and his wife, and about a father and his daughter while she is in her youth within her father's house. Now here you get a bit of commentary from the Qumran people pretending to be God and adding to his words. Because when you hear in verse 14, if her husband says nothing to her from day to day, then he establishes all of her vows or all of her pledges that are upon her. He says nothing. He has established them because he said nothing to her on the day that he heard of them. But if he makes them null and void after he has heard of them, there's an attempt. Dang it, guys. I wonder if I didn't actually get to record that bit. Anyway, from the book of Numbers regarding vows, it says that a husband or a father, if they hear about it on that day, well, they have the right on that day to nullify and make void the vow. And then there's some unprescribed time limit until they would bear guilt for making it void, but not in time. It's just interesting that here in the Temple Scroll, they decide in their putting words in God's mouth to clarify something so that they can continue on. Just interesting to think about. Anyway. But any vow of a widow or a divorced woman, whatever she has taken upon herself, shall stand in conformity with all that her mouth has uttered. Again, continuing on now in the Temple Scroll. Everything that I command you today, see to it that it is kept. You shall not add to it nor detract from it. Pretty darn funny, isn't it? They're making up laws that God didn't make up, that God didn't give us here about a temple, and they're saying, now, don't you add to things. Don't you do what the Lord did about the law. Yes, very good, much wow. Several hypocrisy. But continuing on. If a prophet or a dreamer appears among you and presents you with a sign or a portent, even if the sign or the portent comes true, when he says, let us go and worship other gods whom you have not known, do not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer, for I am testing you to discover whether you love Tetragrammaton, the God of your fathers, with all your heart and soul. It is Tetragrammaton, your God, that you must follow and serve. It is him that you must fear, and his voice that you must obey, and you must hold fast to him. That prophet or dreamer shall be put to death, for he has preached rebellion against Tetragrammaton, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of bondage, to lead you astray from the path that I have commanded you to follow. You shall rid yourself of this evil. If your brother, the son of your father, or the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is like your own self, seeks to entice you secretly, saying, let us go and worship other gods whom you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, some of the gods of the people that are round about you, whether near you or far off from you, from the one end of the earth to the other, you shall not yield to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him, nor shall you conceal him, but you shall kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. You shall stone him to death with stones, because he sought to draw you away from me, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and never again do such an evil thing among you. If in one of your cities in which I give you to dwell, you hear this said, men, sons of Belial, have arisen in your midst, and have led astray all the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and worship gods whom you have not known, you shall inquire, search, and investigate carefully. Of course, the Qumran community is going to put Qumran language in God's mouth here, talking about Belial, sons of Belial. You shall inquire, search, and investigate carefully. If the matter is proven true that such an abomination has been done in Israel, you shall surely put all the inhabitants of that city to the sword. You shall place it and all who are in it under the ban, and you shall put the beasts to the sword. You shall assemble all the booty in the city square, and shall burn it with fire, the city and all the booty, as a whole offering to Tetragrammaton your God. It shall be a ruin forever, and shall never be rebuilt. Nothing from that which has been placed under the ban shall cleave to your hand, so that I may turn from my hot anger and show you compassion. I will be compassionate to you and multiply you, as I told your fathers, provided that you obey my voice, keeping all my commandments that I command you today, to do that which is correct and good before Tetragrammaton your God. If among you, in one of your towns that I give you, there is found a man or a woman who does that which is wrong in my eyes by transgressing my covenant, and goes and worships other gods and bows down before them, or before the sun or the moon or all the host of heaven, if you are told about it, and you hear about this matter, you shall search and investigate it carefully. If the matter is proven true that such an abomination has been done in Israel, you shall lead out that man or that woman and stone him to death with stones. ... You shall go to the Levitical priests or to the judges then in office. You shall seek their guidance, and they shall pronounce on the matter for which you have sought their guidance, and they shall proclaim their judgment to you. You shall act in conformity with the law that they proclaim to you, and the saying that they declare to you from the book of the law. They shall issue to you a proclamation in truth from the place where I choose to cause my name to abide. Be careful to do all that they teach you and to act in conformity with the decision that they communicate to you. Do not stray from the law which they proclaim to you to the right or to the left. The man who does not listen but acts arrogantly without obeying the priest who is posted there to minister before me, or the judge, that man shall die. You shall rid Israel of evil. Rid it. Just get rid of it. All the people shall hear of it and shall be awe-stricken, and none shall ever again be arrogant in Israel. When you enter the land which I give you, take possession of it, dwell in it, and say, I will appoint a king over me, as do all the nations around me. You may surely appoint over you the king whom I will choose. I like that. You may appoint over you the king whom I will choose. Yes, you can choose what I choose. Why am I making fun of this? Because the temple scroll here is doing a lot of quotations from the Old Testament, from the Mosaic Law. It's doing a whole lot of copy pasta from the Torah onto the scroll. And this is all fine and dandy, except that they keep adding stuff or taking away stuff, trying to remix it to fit what they want in their super perfect birthday party temple celebration, what they want. And that is saying, thus saith the Lord, where God has not spoken. So I'm going to mock it. You shall not appoint over you a foreigner who is not your brother. He, the king, shall definitely not acquire many horses, neither shall he lead the people back to Egypt for war to acquire many horses and much silver and gold. For I told you, you shall never again go back that way. He shall not acquire many wives, that they may not turn his heart away from me. He shall not acquire very much silver and gold. When he sits on the throne of his kingdom, they shall write for him this law from the book which is before the priests. This is the law that they shall write for him. ... They shall count on the day that they appoint him king the sons of Israel from the age of 20 to 60 years, according to their standard units. He shall install at their head captains of thousands, captains of hundreds, captains of fifties, and captains of tens in all their cities. And you shall select from among them 1,000 by tribe to be with him, 12,000 warriors who shall not leave him alone to be captured by the nations. All the selected men whom he has selected shall be men of truth, God-fearers, haters of unjust gain, and mighty warriors. They shall be with him always, day and night. They shall guard him from anything sinful and from any foreign nation, in order not to be captured by them. The 12 princes of his people shall be with him, and 12 from among the priests, and from among the Levites 12. They shall sit together with him to proclaim judgment and the law, so that his heart shall not be lifted above them, and he shall do nothing without them concerning any affair. He shall not marry his wife any daughter of the nations, but shall take a wife for himself from his father's house, from his father's family. He shall not take another wife in addition to her, for she alone shall be with him all the time of her life. But if she dies, he may marry another from his father's house, from his family. He shall not twist judgment. He shall take no bribe to twist a just judgment, and shall not covet a field or a vineyard, any riches or house, or anything desirable in Israel. He shall not rob, ... So the king, obviously, here is there to do what the priests want, and all the princes of the people, which are, of course, the current Qumran community guys that have declared themselves that way, saying, basically in their way of putting words in God's mouth, oh yeah, you can totally have a king, but he's going to do what we say, so he's not really king. This is actually an issue in the Old Testament, and this is the Qumran community's attempt at fixing it. You have a king. Now you have God's law, which is absolute, so the king is obviously there to enforce that law and to defend Israel's borders. But then you have these priests and these prophets running around, and if a prophet tells him, here's what God wants you to do, for every single thing that he does, then he's not really a king. He is an administrator. He's not calling shots. He's not making laws. He's not setting up administration the way King David did. This is basically what happened with King Saul. Samuel the prophet, he wanted to be king. He wanted to be the judge in Israel, and there were many times that Samuel was just bossing Saul around, as though the fact that he was a prophet who should be speaking the words of the Lord gave him some sort of super authority over Saul, creating a power struggle. I know, it's my most controversial Bible take, but here in the temple scroll, it basically just says, the king is not a king. He's called king, but he doesn't do king stuff. He's not really a monarch. He's a guy that listens to us. We're going to tell him what to do, and I guess he gets defended. He has other responsibilities, I guess. Let's read more of his job description. When the king hears of any nation or people intent on plundering whatever belongs to Israel, he shall send for the captains of thousands and the captains of hundreds posted in the cities of Israel. They shall send with him the captain 1/10 of the people to go with him, the king to war against their enemies, and they shall go with him. But if a large force enters the land of Israel, they shall send with him 1/5 of the warriors. If a king with chariots and horses and a large force comes, they shall send with him 1/3 of the warriors, and the 2 remaining divisions shall guard their city and their boundaries, so that no marauders invade their land. If the war presses him, the king, hard, they shall send to him 1/2 of the people, the men of the army, but the other 1/2 of the people shall not be severed from their cities. If they triumph over their enemies, smash them, and put them to the sword, and carry away their booty, they shall give the king his tithe of this, the priests 1,000th, and the Levites 100th from everything. They shall have the rest between the combatants and their brothers, whom they have left in their cities. If he, the king, goes to war against his enemies, 1/5 of the people shall go with him, the warriors, all the mighty men of valor. They shall avoid everything unclean, everything shameful, every iniquity and guilt. He shall not go until he has presented himself before the high priest, who shall inquire on his behalf for a decision by the Urim and Thummim. Sorry, here they spell it Tomim. It is at his word that he shall go, and at his word that he shall come, he and all the children of Israel who are with him. Oh, you're going to go to war for us, Mr. King there, your highness, buddy, but you're going to do it when we tell you to, and you're going to do it how we tell you to, all right? So, I mean, you kind of don't even need to be here to do this. We could just have it be an automatic process, but you're still going to go there because you're not really king, but you're king. He shall not go following his heart's counsel until he, the high priest, has inquired for a decision by the Urim and Thummim. He shall then succeed in all his ways on which he has set out according to the decision, which, ... and they shall disperse them in many lands, and they shall become a horror, a byword, a mockery. With a heavy yoke and in extreme want, they shall there serve gods made by human hands of wood and stone, silver and gold. During this time their cities shall become a devastation, a laughing stock in a wasteland, and their enemies shall devastate them. They shall sigh in the land of their enemies and scream because of the heavy yoke. They shall cry out, but I will not listen. They shall scream, but I will not answer them because of their evil doings. I will hide my face from them, and they shall become food, plunder, and prey. None shall save them because of their wickedness, because they have broken my covenant, and their soul has loathed my law, until they have incurred every guilt. Afterwards they will return to me with all their heart and with all their soul, in conformity with all the words of this law, and I will save them from the hand of their enemies, and redeem them from the hand of those who hate them, and I will bring them to the land of their fathers. I will redeem them and increase them and exult over them. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. It's really weird that here the fragment splits and then immediately goes into exilic punishments for breaking the covenant, which supposedly isn't supposed to happen anymore. And with all the Gentiles dead, there shouldn't be any wars anymore. It seems to me in this, the Temple Scroll, the super perfect, once we win, this is how stuff is going to happen, a lot of it is them saying, it's not so much that they're going to have war, it's just these are the rules for war. And they said there's going to be righteousness forever, so of course there's no more apostasy, but here's how things are supposed to be. We're going to go back to the Davidic kingdom with a hyper emphasis on law keeping. It seems to be that that's their idea. So after I've shot up all my enemies, and after we've set up this super awesome temple, then we're going to go back to the way it was, where we always do things the way it's supposed to be done, even if it never happens again. That kind of thing. And you're going to go to my birthday party. The king whose heart and eyes have gone astray from my commandments shall never have one to sit on the throne of his fathers, for I will cut off his posterity forever, so that it shall no more rule over Israel. Fun that they're saying that, because they don't want a Davidic ruler, it seems. But if he walks after my rules and keeps my commandments, and do that which is correct and good before me, no heir to the throne of the kingdom of Israel shall be cut off from among his sons forever. I will be with him and will save him from the hand of those who hate him and from the hand of those who seek his life. I will place all his enemies before him, and he shall rule over them according to his pleasure, and they shall not rule over him. I will set him on an upward, not a downward course, to be the head and not the tail, that the days of his kingdom may be lengthened greatly for him and his sons after him. And all their wave offerings. All their firstling male beasts, and all ... of their beasts, and all their holy gifts, which they shall sanctify to me, together with all their holy gifts of praise, and the proportion of their offering of birds, wild animals, and fish, 1,000th of their catch, and all that they shall devote, and the proportion of the booty and the plunder. To the Levites shall belong the tithe of the corn, the wine, and the oil that they have sanctified to me first. The shoulder from those who slaughter a sacrifice and a proportion to the booty, the plunder and the catch of birds, wild animals and fish, 100th, the tithe from the young pigeons and from the honey, 1/50th. To the priest shall belong 100th of the young pigeons, for I have chosen them from all your tribes to attend on me and minister before me and bless my name, he and his sons always. If a Levite comes from any town anywhere in Israel where he sojourns to the place where I will choose to cause my name, to abide, if he comes with an eager soul. Oh my goodness, there's another train. Let me pause this recording. All right, train is gone. Let's go ahead and restart that sentence. If a Levite come from any town anywhere in Israel where he sojourns to the place where I will choose to cause my name to abide, if he come with an eager soul, he may minister like his brethren the Levites who attend on me there. He shall have the same share of food with them, besides the inheritance from his father's family. When you enter the land which I give you, do not learn to practice the abominations of those nations. There shall be found among you none who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, nor an augur, or a soothsayer, a diviner, or a sorcerer, one who casts spells, or a medium, or wizards, or necromancers, for they are an abomination before me, all who practice such things, and it is because of these abominations that I drive them out before you. You shall be perfect towards Tetragrammaton your God, for these nations that ... to utter a word in my name which I have not commanded him to utter, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall be put to death. If you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which Tetragrammaton has not uttered? Then the word uttered by the prophet in the name of Tetragrammaton is not fulfilled and does not come true. That is not a word that I have uttered. The prophet has spoken arrogantly. Do not fear him. A single witness may not come forward against a man in the matter of any iniquity or sin which he has committed. It is on the evidence of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses that a case can be established. If a malicious witness comes forward against a man to testify against him in a case of a crime, both disputants shall stand before me and before the priests and the Levites and before the judges then in office. And the judges shall inquire, and if the witness is a false witness who has testified falsely against his brother, you shall do to him as he proposed to do to his brother. You shall rid yourselves of evil. The rest shall hear of it and shall be awestricken, and never again shall a thing be done in your midst. Shall such a thing be done in your midst. You shall have no mercy on him. Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. When you go to war against your enemies, and you see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, be not afraid of them, for I am with you, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. When you approach the battle, the priest shall come forward to speak of the army and say to them, Hear, Israel, you approach, ... And another man shall use its fruit. If any man hath betrothed a woman, but has not yet married her, he shall return home. Otherwise he may die in the war, and another man may take her. The officers shall continue to address the army and say, If any man is afraid and has lost heart, he shall go and return. Otherwise he may render his kinsman as faint-hearted as himself. When the judges have finished addressing the army, then they shall appoint army captains at the head of the people. When you approach a city to fight it, first offer it peace. If it seeks peace and opens its gates to you, then all the people found in it shall become your forced laborers and shall serve you. If it does not make peace with you, but is ready to fight a war against you, you shall besiege it, and I will deliver it into your hands. You shall put all its males to the sword, but the women, the children, the beasts, and all that is in the city, all its booty, you may take as a spoil for yourselves. You may enjoy the use of the booty of your enemies, which I give you. Thus shall you treat the very distant cities, which are not among the cities of those nations, but in the cities of the people which I give you as an inheritance. You shall not leave alive any creature. Indeed, you shall utterly exterminate the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, the Girgashites, and the Perizzites, as I have commanded you, that they may not teach you to practice all the abominations that they have performed to their gods. ... A heifer with which he has not worked, which has not drawn the yoke, the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer to a ravine with an ever-flowing stream, which has never been sown or cultivated, and there they shall break its neck. The priests, the sons of Levi, shall come forward, for I have chosen them to minister before me and bless my name. And every dispute and every assault shall be decided by their word. All the elders of the city nearest to the body of the murdered man shall wash their hands over the head of the heifer, whose neck has been broken in the ravine. They shall declare, our hands did not shed this blood, nor did our eyes see it happen, except expiation for thy people Israel, whom thou hast redeemed, O Tetragrammaton. And do not permit the guilt of innocent blood to rest among thy people Israel. Let this blood be expiated for them. You shall rid Israel of the guilt of innocent blood, and you shall do that which is correct and good before Tetragrammaton your God. When you go to war against your enemies, and I deliver them into your hands, and you capture some of them, if you see among the captives a pretty woman and desire her, you may take her to be your wife. You shall bring her to your house, you shall shave her head and cut her nails. You shall discard the clothes of her captivity, and she shall dwell in your house, and bewail her father and mother for a full month. Afterwards you may go to her, consummate the marriage with her, and she will be your wife. But she shall not touch whatever is pure for you for 7 years, neither shall she eat of the sacrifice of peace offering until 7 years have elapsed. That's an addition, by the way, by the Qumran community about the laws for taking war brides. Afterwards she may eat, ... the first fruits of his virility. He has the right of the firstborn. If a man has a disobedient and rebellious son who refuses to listen to his father and mother, nor listens to them when they chastise him, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him to the elders of his city, to the gate of his place. They shall say to the elders of this town, this son of ours is disobedient and rebellious. He does not listen to us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. All the men of his city shall stone him with stones, and he shall die. And you shall rid yourselves of evil. All the children of Israel shall hear of it and be awestricken. If a man slanders his people and delivers his people to a foreign nation and does evil to his people, you shall hang him on a tree, and he shall die. On the testimony of 2 witnesses and on the testimony of 3 witnesses he shall be put to death, and they shall hang him on a tree. If a man is guilty of a capital crime and flees abroad to the nations and curses his people, the children of Israel, you shall hang him also on the tree, and he shall die. But his body shall not stay overnight on the tree. Indeed, you shall bury him on the same day, for he who is hanged on the tree is accursed of God and men. You shall not pollute the ground which I give you to inherit. If you see your kinsman's ox or sheep or donkey straying, do not neglect them. You shall indeed return them to your kinsman. If your kinsman does not live near you, you do not know who he is. You shall bring the animal to your house, and it shall be with you until he claims it. ... When a bird's nest happens to lie before you by the roadside on any tree or on the ground with fledglings or eggs, and the hen is sitting on the fledglings or the eggs, you shall not take the hen with the young. You shall surely let the hen escape and take only the young, so that it may be well with you and your days shall be prolonged. And when you build a new house, you shall construct a parapet on the roof, so that you do not bring blood guilt on your house if anyone should fall from it. When a man takes a wife, has sexual intercourse with her, and takes a dislike to her, and brings a baseless charge against her, ruining her reputation, and says, I have taken this woman, approached her, and did not find the proof of virginity in her, the father or the mother of the girl shall take the girl's proof of virginity and bring it to the elders at the gate. The girl's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to be this man's wife. He has taken a dislike to her, and has brought a baseless charge against her, saying, I have not found the proof of virginity in your daughter. Here is the proof of my daughter's virginity. They shall spread out the garment before the elders of that city. The elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. They shall find him 100 pieces of silver, which they shall give to the father of the girl, because he, the husband, has tried to ruin the reputation of an Israelite virgin. He shall not... When a virgin betrothed to a man is found by another man in the city, and he lies with her, they shall bring both of them to the gate of that city, and stone them with stones, and they shall be put to death. The girl, because she has not shouted for help, though she was in the city, and the man, because he has dishonored his neighbor's wife. You shall rid yourselves of evil. If the man has found the woman in the fields, in a distant place hidden from the city, and raped her, only he who has lain with her shall be put to death. To the girl they shall do nothing, since she has committed no crime worthy of death. Okay. She's committed no crime at all. But anyway, for this affair is like that of a man who attacks his neighbor and murders him. For it was in the fields that he found her, and the betrothed girl shouted for help, but none came to her rescue. When a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed, but is suitable to him according to the rule, and lies with her, and he is found out, he who has lain with her shall give the girl's father 50 pieces of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he has dishonored her, he may not divorce her all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, and shall not lift his father's skirt. A man shall not take the wife of his brother, and shall not lift the skirt of his brother, the son of his father, or the son of his mother, for this is unclean. A man shall not take his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother, for this is abominable. A man shall not take his father's sister, or his mother's sister, for this is immoral. A man shall not take the daughter of his brother, or the daughter of his sister, for this is abominable. A man shall not take ... And that's it for the temple scroll. There's the troubling thing about the temple scroll is there's good and bad in it together. Some things are basically direct quotations from the law that you would expect from somebody creating a shorthand kind of summary of it. But then they add things. They take things away. They put things in different contexts that fit more with the 1st century BC and AD Qumran community, which is mixing bad and good, and that just makes it all bad. If I gave you a glass of fine wine, the finest wine, the kind of wine that's $2,000 a glass, and I say, here's this, and it has the wine in it, in a beautiful crystal glass. The glass itself is probably worth like $5,000. But there's a big fat nugget of poop in there, and you can see the little poop flecks swimming among the extremely expensive wine. Are you going to drink it? No, it's bad. It's gross. It doesn't matter how much scripture they put in here. They're still adulterating it with their ideas, with their wannabe things. It's nasty. It's bad. So, with the rest of the Dead Sea Scrolls thus far, we reject it wholeheartedly. There's no reason to adopt it. Amen and amen.